Evening, welcome to the programme. Owen Bradley with Shaun Barker, former Derby captain, alongside. Derby County in the Championship relegation zone tonight. The Rams losing again this afternoon, 2-1 away at Cardiff. Really bright first half for the Rams, who were the better side and looked as though they got in front through Jerry Yates, a goal wrongly ruled out for offside. But after a goalless first half, things sprung to life in the second. Cardiff much improved. They scored twice in 2 minutes to get the victory. Derby did pull one back through Lars-Jørgen Salverson, but that wasn't enough. The striker did have a great chance to make it 2-2, but Derby left empty-handed, losing again. Shaun Barker. Where do you want to start with this one?
Same old story. First and foremost, I think for the first 45 minutes, there's no doubt that we were the better side. We had the better opportunities, didn't take our chances, which we've said numerous times this season, and ultimately paid the price for that. So the second half, Cardiff did start that little bit better. I said at half time to expect a reaction. You have to when you play poorly at home like that and you get booed off from a home fans that, again, are in good form. And we had 3 or 4 minutes of absolute madness where complete discipline, control, understanding of the game went and you lost the game based on that moment alone. So you cannot get away with that if you're trying to stay out of that bottom 3. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter about performance at times. It doesn't matter about moments of quality. It matters about moments in the game, and it matters about that character and that determination to stay in games and keep your focus. And too many times this season that has happened. We've lost focus. You can talk about, performances. You can talk about being in games, but ultimately we've lost our 6th game in a row. And if you want to get out of the bottom 3, if you want to stay away from that relegation zone, you cannot afford those 3 minutes. And from that moment onwards, it was a little bit more desperate. We got the goal, which is a brilliant goal, and I thought Salverson always offered a threat. He could have got the second. It didn't happen, and in reality, we could have lost by more the way that it was stretched in that second half. And
last time Derby lost 6 in a row was the season they only survived in the Championship on the final day, that crazy 3-3 draw with Sheffield Wednesday. Let's get you some reaction from South Wales. Here's the Derby boss, Paul Warne.
Well, obviously disappointment. We came here to win. As always, appreciate the fans with the team and egging them on to the very end. I thought first half we were really good. I thought we were the team of the ascendancy. We said at half time to the lads, just keep going. You just need that elusive first goal, and in tight games, like, goals matter. Well, they always matter, but even more so today, and we just couldn't get that elusive first goal. And then obviously we concede first, which was difficult to swallow, obviously. Felt like that was more than stoppable, so that was hard. But then, bend don't break, and then to concede straight away after was a massive psychological blow onto my players, and the lads rallied really well to get back in it. Lars obviously got a goal, nearly had one from that set piece. He headed it straight at the keeper either side, and we get a 2-2, and we probably come away really happy with it. I thought we scored a pretty legitimate goal first half, and if you go 1-0 up, and in fairness, their players got booed off at half time. That's how on top we were first half. But it's at the moment, because we're on this run, and I'm well aware of how bad the run is, we're just a little bit soft, not intentionally, but it just feels like as soon as a question gets asked, we don't step to the challenge, and that's what's disappointing for me. I just didn't think at any time we were going to concede, and then after we concede 2, we could have conceded more. That's true, but obviously we're going for it. So disappointing.
You mentioned it was a psychological blow, conceding 2 in a couple of minutes. In terms of the first goal, is that a psychological thing as well? Because it doesn't look like the players look particularly edgy. It's just that those moments, if you like, where you're having the opportunities, they're just not taking them.
It just felt a little bit. It felt like, and I need to talk to you about a little bit of self-destruct to a certain extent, as in all the chances they created are from our bad play, not from their exceptional play, like an under-hit pass, or not taking it in close proximity to someone. So all them things, I just felt like we maybe weren't at our best today in that. Although I thought going forward, switching play, making them defend crosses, I thought Jerry and Lars gave us something we haven't had. We had a bit of a threat and And every time the ball came in the box, I thought we were going to score. We nearly scored straight away. I do think we created a lot of chances today, but unfortunately we didn't get that first goal. And in the form we're in, you know, taking the lead is a big thing. And I just feel like we're just collectively just letting ourselves down there.
But you did hang in there, and you mentioned Lars got a goal, which I think you'd say he deserved. Was that something though, that you hung in there, that you got yourselves back in the game? That you say Ben don't break, well they didn't break and they stayed in it.
No, they didn't get broken. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that when, you know, we can't concede straight after the first goal. You just have to probably withstand a bit of pressure for 5 minutes and then play your way back into it. So look, and the lads, you know, massive respect for them, keep going to the very end, and obviously it becomes a bit random, but yeah, generally there were two different halves of football, and I said it to them at half time, they won't be, sounds awful, but as bad second half. They'll have to change something or do something else, but we just have to stand up to the pressure and take our opportunities when they come. But like I said, the first real question, the first half, we don't cover ourselves in much glory, and then to concede straight away after is disappointing. Look, there's loads of positives, but it'd be a miss of me to stand here and talk about them when we've, you know, obviously on the run we're on, and we need to stay positive with the group, because, you know, there's no other way to be. So we have a week now to prepare the lads for the next game, which obviously isn't an easy game, but there's no excuse. But there was things I liked today, but you know, fundamentally we lost the game, and it was a big game to lose.
How important is that, having a clear week for you this week, in terms of, I guess, clearing minds as well and getting ready to go again?
Well, it is a big week for loads of other reasons as well. Getting players in as well, so it is nicer to have a full run at it, and we are being able to work with things, which is good. But I'm looking forward to getting back to the lads, showing them stuff again. But hopefully trying to get better, because we need to.
Appreciate you saying might not necessarily be the time for positives, but you had Ryan Nyambi back today. David Ozo came off the bench. I appreciate you lost a couple of players to injury in the second half, but to have those two back, I would imagine is a big boost for everybody.
Yeah, it's a real positive. I'm not saying there's not positives, but I don't want to stand here and pretend like, you know, we've lost again, but woohoo, we've got players back. But we have got players back, which is good news. I do think, like, Lars hasn't trained that much. He does look, you know, a real threat to us, and there are positive parts of our play. However, you know, the scoreline is, the scoreline is what it is, and that's the disappointing thing for us. We've all worked really hard, the players included, to, you know, to try and come and get a win here today. And, you know, for large parts of the game, I did think we were going to win. I'm biased, I know, but I did think we were going to win. So that's the disappointing thing for me, and, you know, we have to, like I said, pick the lads up.
And that's Paul Warne. Big week ahead as Derby prepare for their next game, and of course the transfer window starts to come to a close. Back to today, Barks. 2 minutes, the game gets away from Derby midway through the second half, and sort of undoes any good work that might have come in the first half when the Rams didn't take their chances. What goes wrong with these goals? What goes wrong with the psyche? Talk to me about it.
Well, we saw a reaction from Cardiff at half-time, which we knew. I have to agree with Paul. I don't think it was them being brilliant. I said in commentary, I thought it was us making poor decisions at poor times. The first goal was a huge disappointment. I think Zetterstrom should do better. The ball was going straight at him, and he pushed it away straight into the path of Robinson. Now, that's a hit. I understand that. That is a major point in the game after you've been dominant, when you've created chances, when you limited Cardiff at home to very few chances yourself. That is a huge blow. But there's no excuse to be as wide open, to concede within 30 seconds. Now, I understand that the manager will be under most of the pressure, but when you're on a pitch, when you're the part of that 11, when you're in a situation you're in at this point, you cannot afford to do that as players. You cannot be as wide open. You cannot allow the opposition to get another chance so quickly and ultimately kill off the game. That's the reality. They killed off the game with that second goal. We've talked about it this season with us not getting the second, getting the first, we need the second. And it happened to us today, and you're guilty of being naive, losing discipline and losing focus of the game, because there was lots of good stuff throughout the game. But ultimately, fans, people watching, the manager and the players will be reminded and will reflect on all of those moments that let the game go away from us, and it was there for the taking, which once again makes it even more frustrating, because I'm picking on maybe one hand teams that were dominant against Derby County this season that didn't give Derby a chance to get something from the game. One hand, that's it. Leeds are in that bracket, probably Sheffield United, maybe a Sunderland. We're talking the top 2 or 3 teams of this division. Not seen enough in the others to say that Derby didn't deserve to get something from it. Deserving it's one thing, having the nous, having the understanding how to get it is the next. And unfortunately, so far this season, we haven't made the most of those situations.
You look at today, think of Luton, where Derby led, conceded a couple of quick goals later on, late goal against Sheffield Wednesday here at Pride Park Stadium. There have been a few examples of this sort of thing. How does Paul Warne fix that problem?
I think I always see him come out and defend the players. I think he understands that he's got to have the players on side. But in my history, sometimes putting a bit more pressure on and say, well, actually, the boys need to stand up for a little bit of accountable for these moments themselves. And maybe it's a different game we're playing now. Maybe it's a different era. But I didn't mind being criticised. I didn't mind taking ownership. As captain, you had to take that, and you had to almost, if you believe there was good enough performances, but you concede 2 goals, I, as a centre-half, will come out and say it's not good enough. We haven't done enough to win that game of football because of moments of a lapse of concentration. So I think it's a collective. I think between the manager, staff, players, fans, we're in this situation. We all know it. We've watched it. We've seen the last 6 or 7 games get away from us, and all of a sudden we're in the bottom 3. There has to be accountability from everyone, and somehow we have to find a way. And we could talk about the positive. I think there's been lots of positive this season. It doesn't matter when you're in the bottom 3. All that matters is results. We have to be more solid defensively. So if you concede that first, you certainly don't concede the second. And when you have opportunities, you have to take them. And ultimately, both boxes is what's going to win you games of football from now until the end of the season. In reality, we didn't do enough when we had chances, and we certainly allowed Cardiff too many chances in the second half. And once again, in my opinion, based on us making bad decisions in bad areas and being far too open. Yes, we're chasing it at times, but the game's got to get away from us, and we need to work out how to get a result against a very good side against Sheffield United.
Yeah, people may say, look, excuses, look, whatever, but different game, and we've seen it this season, different game if Derby score first. They thought they'd scored first half. Offside flag goes up. We think it's onside. Is that the sort of moment that Paul Warne can maybe rightly point out and say things are not going our way?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been times this season, but again, there's always reasons, but there's never an excuse. You haven't scored that goal for the linesman's call, from a referee's call. You're still in the game. You're still dominant in the game. You still have the chances to go ahead, and you have to take them. And however we look at this season to this point, whether there's been good bits, whether there's been poor bits, whether we're looking at a squad that maybe is threadbare and you're looking at players filling in gaps, we get all that. Our failing has been not making the most of games where we've been on top when we've had more chances, and ultimately not kept enough clean sheets and not done our defensive duties on the other end. And if you're looking from top end to bottom, those bits means that we're in the bottom 3. It's as simple as that, and you're in there for a reason, and you've got to find ways, you've got to work out how you need to balance games better, how you need to stay in games, and how you need to manage games. Game management is huge, and it's been a focal point this season, and definitely from a ex-player's perspective, you can see more needs to be done on the pitch to make sure you get those 3 points, and once again we've been punished, and it's a league that doesn't allow that. Lars Jørgen
Salverson off the mark, took his goal well, could have had another?
He could, and if we're looking at positives, first half we were dominant, and Salverson and Yates working together as a front 2. I thought there was more aggression to go and press. I thought there was more link-up play in that final third, which allowed us to get in promising positions. He's got a knack of playing on the wrong side and the blind side of centre-halves, and that it's a talent, and it's unique in the division, I would say, from watching him. He's looking to play and peel off that second centre-half, which is where he scored his wonderful goal. Great ball from Yates, who, if you were saying it's their first game together, there was certainly a link-up between the two, and there's certainly an understanding between the two. So there is a positive. He did get the goal, should have got the second, and again, those moments can define a game, and he didn't get that second, which is a shame because I thought it was a handful today.
Let's get some more reaction from the Cardiff City Stadium. Ben Osborn, boyhood Derby fan, captain the Rams for the first time today.
First half, thought like played as solid away performance. Felt like we were the only team going to score. Second half, they had a little bit more, but I still like they weren't causing us any problems whatsoever, and I fancied us to go on and get a goal. I think they've scored with their first shot on target, maybe, or second. And then we've that's hit us, and we've switched off or with too much stress, and we conceded straight away after by silly mistakes really, and that shot us in the foot, because if we'd have kept it at 1-0, you fancy us to get something from the game. So I think a big thing for us at the moment is just that we can't seem to take the lead and give us a platform or something to hold on to.
The most frustrating thing as well, the game did turn so quickly when we're in a really good place.
Yeah, definitely. I think it obviously shocked us a bit that they'd scored, and when you're on sort of the run that we're on, it does happen. I've been in it loads of times, but we can't. Simple. We cannot let that affect us, and we just got to keep going, sticking to the plan, and hope that and then believe that we'll get something from the game. So, to concede too early, that's where we've lost the game today. And then obviously after that, it's just very open again. We've got one back. Jakob's made a few great saves, and then pushing towards the end, but we just can't seem to score when we really need to.
It's a quick, clear week now ahead of Sheffield United at home. So what will be the key focus back at Moor Farm? See who's available first and foremost, and then it'll be debrief this game. What can we learn from it? And all eyes on the Sheffield United game. We've produced some really good performances at home. We're going to need the fans and everyone behind us, and it's going to have to be a right team effort to get that result that hopefully gives us the confidence to go on a bit of a run. And I do believe it will come. So I think it's a big game. It's against two massive clubs in the Championship. It'll be near enough for Salah, and we've got to give it a right go, take the game to Sheffield United, and hopefully try and get a performance. But all the focus will be on that this week.
That's Ben Osborn. Results from the Championship weekend so far, with Burnley Leeds still to come on Monday night. Big win for Hull yesterday, 3-0 winners at Sheffield United to get them out of the relegation zone at Derby's expense. Remember, Luton losing to Millwall in the early game. Big win for Norwich in the final of the lunchtime fixtures. A big win for West Brom as well, thrashing Portsmouth. Not the first time that Pompey have been on the end of a big defeat this season. 5-1 in one of the late games. Point for Plymouth, last-minute equaliser for them away at Sunderland in one of the more eye-catching results of the day. Table then. Sunderland failing to really take the opportunity to gain ground on the top two. It still leads, then Sheffield United, Burnley, Sunderland with second against third to come on Monday night. Middlesbrough holding that final playoff spot. West Brom jumping above them this afternoon. At the other end, Derby will finish the weekend in the Championship relegation zone. Luton and Plymouth, the only teams below the Rams in the table. It is a 2-point gap. Then to Portsmouth, who have the game in hand. Stoke and Hull just ahead. Cardiff now 4 points clear of the Rams. That's after their victory over Derby at the Cardiff City Stadium this afternoon. If you want more reaction to today's game, it'll be on the website dcfc.co.uk. For now, from me, Barks, and the rest of the team, goodbye.